Cool Album Covers, Episode 43, Comedy and Tragedy. I'm Rich Batchelor.
I'm Mark Major.
We begin with The Wonderful World of Jonathan Winters. This was an album that it was in my dad's collection growing up, and I looked at it over and over and over again, and at times was forced to listen to the damn thing. I certainly didn't understand it as a little kid. You never understand Jonathan Winters when you're a little kid.
Yeah, I think you have to be an adult and see him as the little kid.
Hey, yeah, totally. Including those occasions when he dressed up as a little kid with an oversized lollipop and the little schoolboy uniform.
I think that's what I'm referring to, is that's one of his characters, but I think that kind of seeped into all of his comedy, that you looked upon him, even though he's an adult, as a type of a special child. I think that was sort of his gimmick.
Yeah.
And also, I guess, apparently sometimes he gets sick, according to the face on the right.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, actually. As a little kid, I was kind of like, he doesn't look sad so much as he looks green.
What has Jonathan Winters eaten?
And what's his makeup artist doing?
Let's move on to Dr. Hook, Pleasure and Pain. Of the two things mentioned here, when I listened to Dr. Hook, I really only received the pain.
It's true. The pleasure of looking at an album cover and the pain of everything else associated with the Dr. Hook experience.
I think the pleasure comes when the record is finally over and the needle goes back to its resting place.
Why don't bands ever think of this stuff when they're naming their albums? Oh yeah, Home Theater System of Pain.
Similar cover to the Dr. Hook one, that is, someone just cranked out a happy sad face.
It's crying a little tear of blood.
Yeah, and then they're like, well, this is a metal album and you're starting to look kind of like some sort of gay Broadway musical. Let's put a pentagram on his head.
Yeah, no one's gonna think that's gay. Yeah, I remember when this album came out, and this was where Motley Crue, of all things, started to get pretentious. I know that sounds completely ridiculous, but
it almost seems unobtainable by this band, but yeah, they've done it with this cover.
Oh yeah, they set up and down. There's like, no, this is going to be a blues album, man. And you know what? Just for the record, in case anyone out there is wondering, this is not a blues record at all.
This one might be, though. Earl Klugh. So which of the two personalities of him is crazy for you?
Well, I'm now a lot more afraid of Earl Klugh than I used to be, because, that facade he normally wears, he looks like a fairly calm guy, a little contemplative there, but the under-Earl, the one that in theory is actually kind of into you, he looks like he's going to lose it one of these nights.
Yeah, I think he's suppressed. I think he's suppressing the thinker.
And that's what it is. That's what all smooth jazz is. Smooth jazz seeks to lock up all that is, oh boy.
Let's further that with this bad boy. This is one of your favorites.
Mecca for Moderns by Manhattan Transfer. It's, they shaved off their faces, okay? They shaved off their faces and attached ribbons to them and then put them on this album.
A huge improvement.
It's true.
If only they could have musically done that.
Yeah, I know, actually, because in this particular case, you don't get to see the one guy that even then was bald.
Oh, lordy.
I mean, and, the album, to answer the question that nobody asked, hey, where does doo-wop and a cappella fit in the music market of the early 80s? Here?
Yeah, like, this is where people gather. A Mecca, if you will.
A Mecca for, let's not call them moderns anymore, because it's just too painful.
A Mecca for mimes. And that concludes Cool Album Covers for the week.
Yes.